Hey guys, I'm so freaking excited today. Never coded before in my life. Today, it's gonna be my first time. I don't know where to start, but let's look it up. Let's see which language I should learn first as a beginner. Let's go. Okay. Really excited, guys. Okay, so you just gotta start with a C programming language. This is the only answer that I'm gonna accept. You have to do C. You can't do any of the higher abstract languages. If you don't start with C, you're just not gonna understand how computers work, dude. You need to understand how the memory allocation works, how memory's stored in the hardware itself. They need to realize how that's actually addressable by programs itself. If you don't start with C, you can't learn any of that. Doesn't matter if you want to be a web developer or work in a Python. Too bad. You gotta start with C. You gotta understand how memory allocation works. You gotta learn pointer arithmetic. You don't need classes where we're at in C. You just got to do everything by yourself. You have to start with C, otherwise you just can't progress more if you don't understand how the underlying hardware communicates with your software. Whoa, wow. Dude, I have literally never seen anyone as wrong as you just right now. Java is clearly the best language to learn as a beginner. It's super intuitive, super easy to use, it's standard in the enterprise, and did I also mention, it runs on 1 billion devices, probably even more, I don't know, but it's so easy, so good to use. Let's just write a simple hello world app, and I'll just show you how wrong you are. See, it's public static void main extend string args. Remember, we also need to implement the abstract void netting. That abstract void netting needs to be a type generic and needs to import a data. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about which coding language you should learn first if you want to begin your computer science journey. Now, as you may know, there are literally hundreds, maybe even thousands of coding languages that you could learn as your first language, right? And depending on which keywords you search up on Google, you may get so many different languages and it's totally overwhelming. So just in the web space itself, we have Python, Java, Ruby, C#, PHP, JavaScript. I'm probably forgetting like way more of them. Those are just the top 6 I can think off the top of my head. So, and if you ask someone that you know who's a software engineer, depending on what kind of software engineering they do, they may give you a totally different answer than what you're looking for. So maybe the software engineering that the person you may know isn't the kind of software engineering you want to do, so then it just becomes even more confusing. Like, just because this person wants to do it, does that mean I do it? I don't know. So to clear up all this confusion, we're just going to dive straight into it. First, we're going to look at which languages are even popular right now and which ones are worth looking at. Hey guys, welcome back, and let's do some stats. Now, we also have Cat Cam here. Hello, Cat, say hi. She's going to be helping us out here. Look at the stats of the most popular programming languages. Now, I'm using the Stack Overflow developer survey here for us. Stack Overflow, if you're new to coding, you don't know what Stack Overflow is, it is a fantastic website to use to answer any of your coding questions. If you have any kind of error you're not super sure of, someone has probably had the same error as you and has posted the question on Stack Overflow. It saved me literally hundreds of hours of developer time, and I highly recommend you check it out. What's cool though is that they also do a survey every year asking their developers who use the platform some questions around coding. So this one, it was really cool, I wanted to point out here. What's the most popular programming language, right? What is most in demand on this Stack Overflow webpage here? So we can see that all respondents, JavaScript, HTML, SQL, Python, Java, these are our top 5 here. Some of these I mentioned in the introduction. As we see, JavaScript is number 1 by a fair margin. If we look at just professional developers, we can see now JavaScript is still number 1 on the top here. Now, so this is amazing because it's for the 8th year in a row here. JavaScript is the most commonly used programming language, right? In 8 years, JavaScript is still the most commonly used. And then we also have other technologies which use JavaScript, such as TypeScript, are gaining traction on this list as well. So looking at this, I'm totally seeing JavaScript and TypeScript, they're up there as well. Now, something else I wanted to point out was that if we look at the loved technologies, right, so this is another page I have here. These are the technologies which developers want to learn the most. Python number 1, JavaScript number 2, with TypeScript again coming in at number 4. So I see a repeated pattern here for the past 8 years. JavaScript is number 1 most used coding language on Stack Overflow, and it's also developers want to learn JavaScript and also TypeScript because there's clearly something to this ecosystem that makes developers want to learn it. Now, this isn't, the most definitive answer that, oh, JavaScript's going to take over the entire world, but it does give an indication. This is the largest developer question and answer platform, so clearly if a lot of people are asking questions about JavaScript, people want to learn JavaScript, right? There's clearly a demand for JavaScript out there somewhere. Otherwise, why would people be asking the questions? So now we have the stats over, let's just go wrap up a couple of reasons why I think JavaScript, based on this data and some of my own anecdotal kind of knowledge, is going to be a really great language to learn as a beginner. So now that we've been over that JavaScript is a really popular programming language, right now we can go into some of the areas in which I think JavaScript is awesome at. JavaScript allows you to get exposure into really a lot of different aspects of software engineering. So you don't have to commit to learning one language that's only good at one kind of software engineering. You can learn one language and get exposure in many different kinds of software engineering. So this may be a bit confusing, but I'm just going to break it down here. Number 1, you could get practice and practical experience being a front-end software engineer by just knowing JavaScript. You may need to know HTML and CSS as well, but in 2020, the vast majority of websites that you use are full of JavaScript logic, and all of the web development trends right now are to use more and more JavaScript. So JavaScript, if you know that language, you can totally get into front-end software engineering. In this kind of engineering, we're going to be defining how user interfaces work for websites and really defining an awesome user experience if you're using a website. Now, the second aspect we can do is we can also work on back-end engineering. This is one of the main areas and why JavaScript is so popular now, because you can do back-end software and development and front-end software development. You can do both of these with just one language, which is so cool. In the back-end though, you won't really be writing user interface or anything like that. You'll mainly be defining the business logic or whatever application that you're doing, kind of how that application processes data and sends it to the front end. But it's really cool that you can just learn one language to do both these things. Now, on top of getting exposure to front-end web development and back-end web development, you can also get access to mobile application development. So these are three different professions that you can go down. The third one, this is a really cool aspect of JavaScript. You can produce applications on the iOS and Android store by just knowing JavaScript. This is a really revolutionary technology that JavaScript is pioneering now, and it blows my mind that you can get exposure in front-end web development, back-end web development, and mobile applications development. You can do all this with one language. That's why I think JavaScript, if you don't know what kind of development you want to go down, is clearly the best first language to learn. So that about wraps up today's video on which programming language you should learn as a beginner. If you like this video, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, comment down below if you're a beginner learning coding right now. What language are you picking up and how do you like it? Saying that though, guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.